cheese. Did y'all ever watch Metroid 3? The magic number. Yes, it is. It's the magic number.
Rightio. Rightio, let's get to the recording then.
Rightio.
In it, bruv.
We keep
Make sure
all
the
that
microphone's at your mouth, bruv.
We keep all that that unused audio. Yeah, we're going to keep it all.
Yeah, all 4 minutes and 30 seconds of it.
Oh yeah.
You know, they want the authentic experience before I cut out like 20 minutes of a conversation until the episode starts. Because that's how most things start. We just sit down, let the mics roll, and then the episode starts when I decide, because I'm the dictator here.
Ah. Does that mean I'm like
You're my court
the
jester.
the court jester?
Dance for me.
This is just a quick, cool factoid I found out about Mr. Shazam.
Oh.
The character Shazam.
You mean Captain Marvel?
Yeah, Captain Marvel. So you know the way all superheroes have their like side names?
Yes.
Batman is the what you call it, the
Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight, or like the Cowl, whatever, the
Caped Crusader.
the Caped Crusader.
The world's greatest detective.
He's got many titles. Superman's got the Man of Steel.
Man of Tomorrow.
Yeah, Man of Tomorrow. The Flash has the
Crimson, something Crimson.
Crimson
Streak? Is it Crimson Streak?
My crimson streak in my ass. No,
Yeah, I want to get that checked out.
yeah, true. But Shazam's the big cheese. Isn't that cool? Why is he known as the big cheese?
Why is he big? Is it because he has a big yellow lightning bolt coming down his chest?
I have literally. Oh, that's probably it. It could be that. It could be the fact that he's quite cheesy as a character.
Yes, like, you know, that was one thing I found jarring about the film, was like Billy Batson as a teenager was just too grown up, and then Zachary Levi as Shazam was just too childish.
Yeah.
It's like they felt like two different people. I know that, like, yes and no, but Zachary Levi's like, "Whoop, zip, zippy, zip," and then, you know, the kid who played Billy Batson was like, "Oh, I hate everything."
Yeah. I felt like he got quite happy when he started getting famous. Both sides of the character got happy.
I'm curious to see Fury of the Gods, because I enjoyed the first Shazam. It's just one of those ones where it's just kind of, I don't want to call it a sleeper hit, because, like, you know,
do we have to see Dwayne the Rock Johnson first, or
I don't know,
or is that still going? Because that was like announced.
Yeah, they showed like a little
ages
sizzle reel
ago.
that, like, it was announced all the way back in 2000 and something, and now it's actually, apparently there's going to be a trailer at the Super Bowl on Sunday. But, you know, it's going to be hard because the DCEU is in this weird phase of trying to phase out everything while trying to keep it going.
Yeah, I mean,
allegedly speaking.
I think today. Well, I know today's like a Nintendo Direct, which I might look up now to see what's happening. If it is happening, I don't know if it's a Nintendo Direct, or I just saw a post on Reddit, meaning it might not be true. That
I believe everything Reddit tells me.
Yeah, true. That something about Metroid's happening today.
Yeah, because now Dread is like, what, the best-selling Switch game?
It's the best-selling Metroid game. It's gonna
so
take.
So it sold 10 copies.
Yeah. But it's the dog.
He's not supposed to be up here.
Yeah, but he's what do you call it? Metroid's the best-selling Metroid game. The best-selling Switch game, I think, is still either Mario or Zelda.
Breath of the Wild, yes. Breath of the Wild 2, which they just announced too early, I think.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. I'm fine with the 2 trailers that I've gotten. I really kind of don't want any more. Because that's kind of what I was like going into Breath of the Wild 1. I only saw like 2 trailers, and most of the trailers were literally just the plateau, the first section of the entire game.
Which is good. You know, that actually didn't really show you too much that there was a whole world to explore.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you something annoying that happened to me this week.
Oh, yeah?
So, for those who don't know, my second name technically isn't Monks. Well, it is now. I was born under my puppy's name, and I have daddy issues, and I've never met my puppy. So I wanted to get it changed, to actually be the name I was using. So I had to go through solicitors to do a deed poll, which is pretty much saying on paper, hey man, my name is Monks. And that took a while, because mainly I wanted to get my passport and all my identification changed and whatnot. Just so, it's just tidy up. And I was looking on DFA, which is the website for all the passport stuff, and it says, we do not accept deed poll.
Deed poll?
Yeah, which is the cert to say that I spent 2 years trying to chase up to change my name, to be told, we don't accept. So I'm thinking, okay, what the fuck? I've spent 2 years, a lot of money trying to sort this out, and now you're telling me I can't do it. So I was looking for all the paperwork I have in my drawer, so I had to rip my drawers out to find bank statements from 2 years ago, and just other forms of documentation from 2 years ago with my name, Monks. Cian Monks.
Yeah.
Because it says, we'll accept it under common usage, which means you just put your name. So all this time, I could have just had my everything up to date, and I pretty much just gave the solicitors free money. So thankfully I found 2 notes with my name from 2 years ago, and it was annoying. Oh my god, it was so annoying. This is like one of them adult problems, because I've always had problems with my second name and whatnot, because in work I wasn't allowed to use Monks. But that was just there was another annoying thing.
2 years as well, like,
yeah, going back 2 years.
That's so fucking annoying to like dig up.
Yeah,
that much. I mean,
and it has to be certain things.
I don't even think I have any papers that would regard my name.
It has to be a bank statement or a government thing, which had me confused, because way back at the start, pre-pandemic era, January 2020, I was summoned to do jury duty, and on the documents they sent me via the post, it was under Monks. So I'm just like, okay, why is it under Monks there, and not this? It's very confusing. So I found documentation just saying I did jury duty, which I presume is government, which it'd be really weird if it wasn't. But,
some guy just posted you, he's like, yeah, you're doing jury duty. My jury duty. You're just doing it.
there was some interesting cases. Like, I wish I could have done it, but I only started my job literally 3 weeks before that. So I'm already like, hey guys, I know I just started, but I have to take like a week or so off because I got jury duty. But there was some
jury duty.
Some interesting cases. Like, there was one where there was this 4 people in this family. I believe the father, the auntie, the daughter, and someone else. So 4 people, and they were accused of murdering the mother.
Fucking what?
By dismembering her, and allegedly one of them dressed up as her to just hide the fact that they killed her, so they get rid of the body.
What?
Yeah, and it was in Drumcondra as well, so it's not too far away.
What the fuck?
And that case was 8 weeks long, and it's one I wish I could have seen, because I was like, okay, I need to see how this ends. Another one was the case of 64 buckets, where I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's either they stole 64 buckets or they just infringed on someone. I don't know, but the case was 10 weeks long over buckets. I'm like, okay, I would have loved to have seen that one. But the one with the 4 people, they were convicted guilty, so I stood in front of 4 murderers.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they know my face, so if I ever go missing one day. But yeah, jury duty, it was boring. Like, there were some cases where it was like a day or 2 long, but I remember on one day there was one judge, because you just pretty much sit in a room and you wait for hours, and it's like a lottery, because you're given a number in the post, and if they call that number out, you got to go up. And one thing that was funny was, like, a lot of the cases were men, like, against women, like, the women accused the man of doing this and whatnot.
Yeah.
And all the lawyers, because the lawyers there they can say for some jurors to go away, and funnily enough, they got rid of all the women. So, I'm like that's a bit suspicious already. But,
what the hell? I can't believe I can argue that.
Yeah, because
how can they argue that too?
They can just, because I think they can pick someone who can just, I can't remember how it works. It was over 2 years ago. Yeah. Or if they looked young enough. Apparently I didn't look young enough, but I just kept going up to the judge like, hey, I can't afford to come in. And one of them was like, yeah, fair enough. And the other one was like, your job, like, legally requires you to leave. Like, yeah, that's great. I can't afford to come in here for 8 weeks with no money.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And then another annoying thing that happened to me this week was, I was cleaning my camera sensor, which is the most delicate part in the sensor, something I'm used to now. And, the process of cleaning a camera sensor is you hold it upside down, you have this little blower to blow dust out, then you get a little swab, which I have here in my hand to show you for sample. You put this non-streaking alcohol on it, and you just rub from one side into the other. Standard procedure. It's pretty scary, but you get used to it.
Okay.
I looked at my camera sensor, and there's 2 long scratches going across it now.
Yeah, I seen you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were going into town one of the days because you did an Instagram story, and I saw you going into town because Were you trying to find a replacement lens or
no? So pretty much what happens with that now is, with camera sensors, there's a few filters in front of it. So that was, I think, the infrared filter. But in camera terms, with the aperture to let light in, over T8 I can still use it, but under that you can see the mark.
Yeah.
So what I've been doing now is I've been emailing just a few repair places to see if I can get it fixed up. The max I'm going to do is 200 because I've had that camera for a few years. It's been reliable. But it'd be a shame to replace it when I have no money. Because that also reminds me, I can't open up a fucking credit union account because the whole passport situation. Cause my passport's been out of date for 5 years, and I want it under Monks, and I want to get a credit union loan out to get a new camera.
Okay.
So the camera's still usable, over certain conditions, which I never shoot below T8 most of the time anyway.
Yeah.
But it sucks. Because it's one of the scariest things about owning a camera. Because, yes, I can have it sent off professionally to be cleaned, but I also want to be the professional who cleans my own gear. But, it was bound to happen. But I just think there's just something stuck to the sensor and it just scraped.
Yeah.
So people who own cameras out there, take care of yourself. Just sometimes these things happen, but thankfully it wasn't too damaging.
Yeah.
Like I said, that camera has served me well, which also reminds me, Knock Knock has over 1,000 views now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a good...
Yeah, which is...
What's it called? Mark?
For my technically first short film that I put up 6 months ago.
Yeah.
1,000. Which, it's a little celebration, which it's weird, because whenever you upload anything to YouTube, the max you usually get is 2. So I'm like, where the fuck are all these people coming from? And you know what? It has me really wanting to make something this weekend. So I'm going to try plan something tomorrow and Friday and just try make something this weekend.
Nice.
So if you're free...
I would be down. I think. Am I free this weekend? I'm in work, but I don't know if I'm like...
I'm planning on shooting it kind of like if you're in work, fair enough. But I don't know. I feel like I want to make something this weekend.
That's awesome.
I didn't realize, cause I remember at Halloween, there was a surge because searching up spooky movies. And there was a surge of like 300 views, which was like cool. But then just the other day I had a look, and I feel kind of proud. Like the little thing. But now it also terrifies me because like now if I make something of even better quality and it goes out there and I get 6 views, I'm like, well, I peaked. I peaked.
Yeah.
But it just has me that bit motivated that there is people out there willing to check out my work.
Yeah.
And now I just want to make something because I just had that urge. Like it's been gone for so long, and now all of a sudden I was like, I need to do it. I need to make something. And I have an idea. It's one I actually thought up on Halloween, which that's how long that idea's been sitting there. But maybe this weekend. So now if I don't do it, I'm going to be biting my words the next time. But besides that, I haven't really been up to much. Just it was an annoying week for me.
Yeah, for me it was isolating, and then I was in work the last 2 days.
And you're like, oh, this guy's back
again. I guess I played 2 new games. Well, I played a couple of games, a lot more games, because I was just bored as shit. But the 2 games I played that are so similar, it's like, it's so similar, but there's also enough variation from it. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool. They're both weird experiences in themselves. One's I would actually classify as a game. The other one, I don't know what the hell it is. I mean, it's
a piece of art.
Yeah, basically, it's just a story. To be honest, I mean, the control scheme is one button.
Okay, how does that work?
So basically, you're on a rail. Okay, I'll tell you the game. It's don't. It's just wait. Say no more, not like no more. Say no, just more. Yeah.
So say no.
More.
More.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And it's a game that I've had it in my library for a long time because it just looked interesting. I thought it was like a stupid like game that you could walk
like
around
a Stanley Parable wannabe.
Yeah, no, because it has a lot. No, because Stanley Parable's creative in its gameplay, while this is just, since there's only one button, you can only go in one direction. I say one direction. You can't actually move. You're not moving your character. Your character's on a rail. So it just does things. People go in front of you. I'll tell you the premise, actually. That's probably a better. I'll tell you why I think these games are similar. Like, so the two games I played were Say No More and Going Under. Going Under is I'll tell you the premise of both of them because they're so similar. I can actually say that. You're a new intern in this corporation, and your character is being told to do something that they do not want to do.
Oh.
That is the premise of both those games.
Huh.
And they take different routes. Because at the beginning of Say No More, you're told by your friend that he's like, hey, I'm behind on rent. Is it alright if you pay my rent for me?
In advance, yeah.
Yeah, and
you'll get your rent when you fix this goddamn door.
Yeah. And he why I like Say No More's story in a sense is because your character's learning to say no, basically. It's a very like liberal.
I'm getting don't click the button vibes. Remember that one where like you press buttons and other things open? There's like 10 different endings. You probably know it if you've seen it.
Yeah.
I'm getting vibes like that.
Yeah, it's a bit weird because there's no multiple endings. You just press one button every time a person comes in front of you and says, hey, can you do this for me? And you say, no! And then, like, they get blasted off because no is a superpower. It's a really nice-looking game. Like, it has, like, PlayStation 1 polygon-esque graphics.
But it works in its favor of its charm.
Yeah. And, I mean, I say it has PlayStation 1 polygon graphics, but it's not going for a PlayStation 1 like look. It doesn't have like that those old TV scan lines that you see that you can put a filter over everything. It doesn't
CRT,
do that.
yeah.
Yeah, CRT TVs. It doesn't do that kind of filter. It just has like it was done by a team, but it's got its look, and I think it's a cool look. And your character just throughout going through your job as well as an intern, you say no to people who are kind of putting you down, and you're like, no, no, go, no, and you say no to everything. And it's funny because you can change your no's from German no, like the 9, and like the French like no. And it's cool, but it's not a game. Like, I can tell you right now, it's not a game. You press one button throughout the entire thing, and it's more of an experience, more so than a game, because
but they're like diamonds in the rough. Like, you don't need a game where you can just move all about the time. It's just literally one and done. You're like, that was pretty cool. Yeah. Like, look at Subliminal, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's a lot more complex, but you play it once, you're like, that was something.
Unless you want to speed run it, but then, yeah, that's another.
Would you say you're a person who finds it very hard to say no to things, or if one asked, or people?
No. No, I say no if I really don't like it, but I don't really find much of things annoying when people ask me to do something. So
what would be the limit for you?
Limit? Kill somebody?
Okay, bring it down a notch. That's a maybe for me.
Well, like, what is a thing that I would be like hard set no on?
Say if you were in work tomorrow and someone said, "Hey, let's go out tonight," would you say no, or would you?
Yeah, I'd say no if I really just didn't want to go. But I mean, after work, I really don't have much to do anyways, so I'm just like, yeah.
What's something you wish you said no to before?
I said no to before.
Yeah, like you said, like, I don't want to do this, but you said yes anyway.
That's kind of hard. That's that's what? Where? How far back would I have to go for that? I mean,
moment you were born.
Yeah, the doctor's like, "You're gonna live," and I'm like,
"No, give me that umbilical cord."
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know actually, but yeah, the game does do a cool thing, by the way, where at the end, your friend calls you, and this is the first time you've gained enough courage because you said no to a lot of people already. That you can say no to your friend, which is, and then the game goes on like a tangent saying it's easy to say no to a colleague in work that you've just gone to, and is hard. It's easier because you probably don't know them personally, and you're not at a personal level to say like random stuff. So saying no, you should be allowed to, and it shouldn't be a thing if your boss tells you to do something. You shouldn't
feel bad for saying it.
Yeah, and if your boss tells you to do something and you say no, it's basically pointing out that work shouldn't be a hell for you.
No.
You shouldn't be told by your boss and not be able to say no. You should be able to say no. And yeah, your character goes throughout this entire game trying to build up the courage, because the higher up you go in the your bosses, right? It pretend the gameplay. This is where the gameplay kind of falters, because it pretends to be harder, but it's not. It's still scripted. Yeah, it's just scripted. So you're just tapping no constantly. You can hold the button and charge your nose, but that really does fucking nothing. And
it's
then,
just for style and flair.
Yeah. So you can just tap no throughout the entire game and you can complete it. But which the higher up your bosses go, the story like shows that like bosses will like that, and your character goes when you can't say no. So obviously the further you go up in your bosses, the more confident you build, and you finally say no to your friend who obviously needs to pay rent, but like the story slowly shows you that your friend has been doing this for months.
Yeah, taking advantage.
Yeah, and he's taking advantage, and he's shown no signs of getting himself a job and paying for his own things. And it's like, this is a really good moment.
It's a good message as well.
Yeah. The game also says that like, it's just like saying no is a good thing, and it's something you should do more often. But it's like, it also says that like maybe you shouldn't always say no to everything. Sometimes you should, and then it's just like, and then they break the fourth wall and saying maybe there's like some parallel universe out there that there's more complex issues than just saying no won't fix. And it's like, yeah, it's a funny game, and it's a game. And then the other game, Going Under, which is again similar plot wise because you're an intern as well. You start off in this business that like sells slushies or whatever. The other company, like in Just Say No More, you don't really know what your company does, but in Going Under you do. I think Going Under is the better game because better gameplay, better overall.
It'll have the better impact on you probably.
Yeah, it's a roguelike, so it's kind of like Hades, but everything is modeled off what you call it? What's the best? Kind of like Google and Facebook kind of.
So it's like shady corporate that pretty much owns the world.
Yeah, basically, and the layout of everything is so well done that it's like, yeah, this looks like when Messenger messages me, and I'm just like, wow, it's like
it really immerses you.
Yeah, it's phenomenally done, and you have to go to other companies to like, because they added company goblins and stuff like that. And it's a very funny game as well as being just creative in all senses.
Probably has a lot of commentary about today's society.
Yeah, it really does. It shows how both games show how interns are just abused to all fucking hell, and how capitalism's pretty shit. and I was like, I'm into both these stories, and then Going Under is like, I think, the better game for the fact better gameplay, more characters that are better. Like, Just Say No has like 5 characters.
NPC 1, NPC 2, and NPC 3.
Yeah, it has like 5 characters. Your character, the friend, this other character who's also a new intern, but she's like the opposite of you. She will say yes to everything because that's what she's been told.
That's the dynamic.
Yeah. So, and that clashes with like you just saying no, because like she's trying to stay with the mold, but you're trying to break it. And there's another intern who's conflicted, who doesn't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, he doesn't know if he wants to say yes or no. And then there's actually, there's really only 4 characters, because the other characters are like enemies, like your bosses, which don't really have a character at all, to be honest.
Evil corporate man.
Yeah, basically.
Money, money, money.
Yeah.
Mr. Squidward.
Mr. Squidward. Yeah, and Going Under has like so many. I mean, it has. So it's like a slushy, or like a fizz company, like a Coca-Cola company type thing, but except
carbonated beverage.
Yeah, basically. And like there's like a guy at the till who's like your classic like, hi babe,
like, what do you want?
Yeah, basically he's like that. You have that boss who's like manipulating you constantly, who
get off your phone, I'm not paying you to be on your phone.
Yeah, except she's not getting paid, she's an intern.
Yeah, that's
true. and he's just like,
I'm giving you an opportunity.
He's like this is like, hey, can you go down there and like vanquish those goblins? They're really pests when they come up here. And your character's just like, yeah, but I applied for like an internship for advertisement, and he's just like, yeah, but if you don't do this, I might just like give a bad word into like your next company and stuff like that. It's just like,
bad reference, pretty much try to get you blacklisted.
Yeah, and it's just, and that scares your character into doing whatever the fuck he says. And there's the boss above him, which is the dumb CEO who just
money, don't care, money.
Yeah, who's just getting money. Like he's not working at all. He's just getting money. There's the finance person who works all the finances, and she's constantly telling everybody that this company's going under. We're
bleeding
going
out.
under. See how going under, both in the fact that you have to go under the business to fight goblins and like skeletons and shit. While bless you. While the company
business is going under.
Yeah, while the business is also going under. There's also the guy who creates the fizz flavors, like the carbonated beverage flavors, and then there's the tech girl, and a dog. The dog's always with the tech girl, she's that tech girl is like has just annoyed by everything. But basically everything new that comes into the game, every character just gets mad because like it starts off with the tech girl getting angry. It shows her getting like, it shows why you shouldn't really like the boss, because he's just like, hey, we got this brand new like app in, and she's just like, none of the systems are going to work with that, and she's like,
I can relate to that.
yeah,
one.
and then she, and like the business company
No, it's super intuitive and it'll make your workflow even better.
Yeah, basically. And then she's just like, oh, and then the fizz guy who creates the flavors, he's just like, okay, I'm happy with whatever the fuck you do, as long as you just don't hinder my workflow and me creating my own flavors. And then they bring in an AI that says people want this flavor, so make more of this flavor. And he's just like, you said you weren't going to like they promised that they wouldn't like fuck with him making.
It's like the age-old question. Oh, if we put more self-automated stuff, there's gonna be no more jobs.
Yeah, and it's the game's really good in the fact, and like it's also funny because the tech goblins underneath, they're like they're called like goblin, like linked in, and there's a
clever.
Yeah, and there's like a cryptocurrency thing. And
is there an NFT?
Well, no, actually, I don't know if there's an NFT. I haven't got too far into the game yet, but the crypto is like the crypt, like, so there's all zombies mining down there for like crypto, and there's one more too that I haven't tried yet because what I was trying to do is beat each level fully before moving on to the next one, and the rest of the game is just. It just gets really hard. Like after the first dungeon, after the goblin, like you do the goblin and then like dungeon, and then you do the crypto one, which is way harder than the goblin one. And then there's another two that again I don't know what's in it. I think it's something to do with witches. But it's just the game is impeccably creative and with everything it's doing. And I think overall, better story, better characters, and better gameplay than Just Say No, which is funny because they're just two very similar things.
I love things like that. It's just a simple idea, but yet they do so much with it. Like there's so many ideas and examples. Like a lot of indie games, especially like I mentioned a few, the Stanley Parable, which started off as a Gmod.
Yeah.
Mod.
Yeah.
Mod.
Almost like I can't mention the amount of games that began with Gmod or because that started with it, and then there's another game. Fuck, what game? I'm trying to remember. CS:GO started.
Source.
As then. Well, yeah, that technically didn't that start a Half-Life Source thing though? Then
I think so. I can't remember.
So it wasn't exactly Gmod, but
they bought the team who made it, and then they turned it into Counter-Strike.
Yeah, and and then a couple of games because back then Valve made games and they were very happy to bring people in.
Yeah, the Index recently launched, I think.
Yeah, I don't really care.
That's fair enough.
I mean, the Switch just does it for me, and I don't want to play Steam games on like a handheld, really, to be honest, because most of them are so like huge games that you're like, I'll just play that.
Oh, there's smoke coming out of this. But that's one thing I'm trying to get more into is actually just reading books. Like I have a book here in front of us that I actually want to read. Because I've read so many simple stories. Like I love full circle stories where like you start off at the start and it just comes full circle. But like I used to do a lot of creative writing mainly in school, and it's just there's a certain flow when writing that's just so great that you can't get on a computer when you're just typing, because with a computer you can just type, whereas with a pen you have to keep going. And of course I want to try and make a short film that's too clever for its own good, but the problem with that is you can potentially just fall into pretentiousness. Like I want to make something that people go, oh, that was really cool, but I'm not smart enough to do that, and I have no point to this. But like,
okay.
But I'm just trying to think of other like little simple things, because that had me thinking with my own job that I do have a problem with saying no, because in my workplace, an established business, a store, I'm one of the most reliable people there. That's just because the type of person I am. Where like I come in early, so I do a lot of the heavy lifting, and it's just expecting at this point where I don't really get a lot of help, and it's kind of catching up to me. And whenever I say no to things, I just kind of feel guilty about it. Like I remember one time my boss rang me at 5 a.m. asking me to come in, for 6 a.m. And of course I said no, but it's just one of those things where it's like, why should I feel bad when they're ringing me at 5 a.m. to come in?
I know. That happened to me recently, actually. Well, once I got out of isolation, I was confused on when to come in, because I was out of my isolation, but my tests were still coming up like positive. So I was wondering, like, hey, when do I come in? And they didn't respond to me till the next day, saying, oh yeah, you should come in, like 2 hours after my shift began. I'm just like, I don't want to come in. I'm not getting a complete day. I don't want to come in.
Yeah, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
Because I remember there was a few times, not Christmas 2021, but 2020, where I'd be rostered in for 6 a.m. in the dead of winter. I'd come up, and they just wouldn't show up. And I didn't know at the time, like, if they're not there after like half an hour, you have the right to go home. Yeah. So I was waiting there. And it happened a few times where they'd come in at 7. But one time it happened and they didn't come in till 8. And I should have said, fuck this, I'm going home. I said to them I want to be paid for them 2 hours. But, yeah, no, I have a few work horror stories. Like, I remember the first job I ever had was working in a bar. And just that entire place, red flags galore. It was when I was working.
Betsy or something?
Yeah. Pre-Betsy, Empire.
Oh, Empire.
And I remember that, like, they'd clock me in and out. Like, technically I was working from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. But I had to stay back an extra 2 hours and help clean. Yeah. And I didn't get paid for that. Like, I was only working 2 days a week, but I was only getting €80. And I'm like, something's not right here. Yeah. And I just had, screw this, handed in my notice. And then, like, 2 weeks later, the company liquidated. It shut down, and no one got redundancy, apparently. Oh. So I'm like, thank God I got out of there. But, that place. I remember, funny thing was, like, one of the managers took me aside, and he goes, okay, this is your sexual assault training. You're a guy. Deal with it. That's what I got.
What?
Yeah, like, that job made me uncomfortable because, like, there's a lot of older ladies who like to touchy-feely. I didn't even leave a tip. But yeah, like, you know.
That's kind of fucked. I don't like that type of double standard. I mean, don't get me wrong, like,
no one should be touching people in
nobody
general.
should be touching people, like.
But yeah, that was, I remember he just turned around and said to me, like, you know, like, if girls is one thing, but you just deal with it. I'm like, okay, I don't want to. And of course, that night, there was just a group of rowdy old women who were just, it made me uncomfortable, but you can't exactly be mean to them. Otherwise, I'd get in trouble for it. But, you know, I decided, you know what, I don't want to work in a bar again. Then I worked in a kitchen, and that was bliss for a while, but it was a lot of work. But what other stuff? Like, I don't know. Trying to do freelance stuff has taught me to say no to a lot of things. Yeah. Like, you know, just like with the whole incident with that rapper last summer where he was just overstepping boundaries, just making threats, and I was saying, no, I'm not caving into you. Yeah. But, no, it's just, saying no is important.
Yeah. What you call it? Recently, you said it just there, like you were reading more books. I got into reading, what you call it, the Halo book, what you call it, Cryptid?
Oh, the Forerunners.
The Forerunner trilogy. Yeah, where I'm getting super invested into that book.
I heard it's actually really good.
Oh, I was worried going into it because, when it was one of the more interesting books that I was, when looking over the preview of each book, I was like, that looks more interesting, and especially because I got like a hint to what happens to one of the characters.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. And I guess we could say his name, Chakas, right?
343 Guilty Spark.
Yeah. We know what happened. I knew what happened to him. I'm like, that sounds super. So I wanted to go through his entire story, and now I've gotten into this. I love this story so much where I'm just like, wow. Like, I was told that he basically just got like dragged along by a forerunner, and I'm like, oh, cool. He is literally just getting dragged along with the other human, just getting dragged along with this foreigner. They have no control. I mean, this foreigner also has no control.
Like, the thing you have to know about Halo is all about the enemies before the enemies before the enemies before the enemies. Hence, Forerunner and Precursor are like the big things they talk about.
Yeah, and there's even a big thing before them.
Yeah, because like I remember with the Bungie trilogy or just the Bungie games, one thing I loved that I think 343 made a big mistake on was explaining the Forerunners. I love the fact that like all this Forerunner stuff was there. Ancient yet advanced, and it was just so cool exploring these big things. Like, this is so advanced.
Yeah.
Then in Halo 4, they just tried to over-explain everything. And just
I really want to replay 4 because now I'm reading a book with the big bad in it.
Didact.
The Didact,
the librarian.
Yeah. There's actually multiple Didacts, which confused the shit out of me for a second. I was like, what the fuck?
Did you know that there was a comic after Halo 4 where Chief actually kills the Didact? He survived somehow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like that's another thing that annoys me about 343 era is like with Bungie, they made the books to go alongside. So if you want to do some world building, it's there. Whereas with the 343 games, it's necessary to understand what's happening.
Yeah.
Of course, with the Forerunners being important. But yeah, with this book, look who the author is.
Jonah Hill. No, Jonathan Sims.
Yeah, that guy. That's why I picked that one up. But now I have another book. There's this series on Reddit called Tales from the Gas Station. It started off as like a no sleep story, but it was like diary entries, and it's just this comedic horror, which was something that caught me off guard about a night shift worker at the gas station and all this weird stuff happening. And it got turned into a book, and I got the trilogy, and which is just chilling up there, and it was interesting to see. It's on top of the GameCube. It's interesting to see. I remember I talked to you about it before. The difference between that, like, it was diary posts on Reddit, but then in the book, it's an actual story. And then I also have the second book from Blind Boy of his short story collection, which is like I like anthologies. And then this book that I picked up recently is called 13 Stories by Jonathan Sims, head the archivist. I screwed it up, but yeah, the guy who wrote the Magnus Archives, which is something that I was like, oh my god, this is really good. So now I have a lot of expectations for this book. But I feel like, just books, they are fantastic because, just once you get into them, it's just like, these words on papers are creating this image in my head. And it's something I do because, like, I'm a very visual person, as I've said. Like, I find it hard to just digest information when it's just in words. I like seeing visuals, which is why I like comics and now manga. But I need to, if I want to be fully creative, I feel like I'm missing a huge part by ignoring. So I do listen to a lot of audio stuff as well, but again, to really just force yourself to read and take in all the words, I think that's just a level of creativity that's just untapped with me.
Yeah.
Because I used just all them classic creepypastas I used to love reading, used to love listening to, because they're just dumb stories that were, but I struggle to come up with just dumb stories anymore.
I mean, I guess, apart from Halo Cryptum, the only book I've really been reading is a comic book, which is the... well, I've been reading a couple of things, but I've been reading Blue Exorcist. I've been reading that since I was like...
I watched season 1 of the anime.
Yeah, that's a weird anime. It's like, I like the first season, but the ending of the first season is like, what the fuck just happened there? And then the second season happens, and it just like retcons a lot, or like
it goes back, which I didn't like.
Yeah.
Like, continue the story.
It goes backwards. Well, continue the story that was never in the manga. The anime just kind of gives up on following the manga halfway through, and then it shows an ending that you're like, what the fuck just happened? Well, and then the anime is like, oh fuck, we'll go back and do this story proper, and we're like, and then you do one of the most boring arcs in the entire. You proceed to do the most boring arc in the entire series, which, I mean, I really like Blue Exorcist, and I've been reading it again for a very long time. I've really fallen in love with that series.
The first anime that I ever dabbled in, you're going to say, of course it was Attack on Titan.
Oh yeah. That's like a lot of people's first.
Yeah, and like, I really loved the first episode. I was like, okay, I wasn't expecting this to be fucked up, but then I feel like after that tone is just missing.
Oh yeah, because I mean, there is death still in it. It's just that the three main characters you're introduced to, you know they're safe. They're safe.
Yeah,
they're not gonna die. Well,
like once the 3D maneuver gear is introduced, you're like, oh, they can just fly now. But I remember just the horror, like this cosmic horror of like, oh god, these things are huge. But then they like I couldn't tell you what happens with Attack on Titan now because I only watched the first season. The last thing I know is that there's Titans in the wall.
I can tell you now, people are calling it a masterpiece, but I think it's an absolute dog shit anime at the moment. I say anime and manga. I think it's absolute dog shit at the moment. I really do not like the story that is presented to me. Now I do not mind when people say, like, dude, it's gotten so good. I was
and
like,
you're like,
that's
oh,
great. That's great. I won't, like, I don't want to hinder on people who like it. I think it's absolute dog shit. It's taking things that I always just look at in a story and I think that is the most stupidest plot I've ever fucking heard. And anime has stupid plots. I'm not saying it doesn't. But
Japanese just entertainment is just over exaggerated to everything.
Yeah, but I'm fine with most over exaggerated stuff because a lot of it does make sense in context of the universe. But Attack on Titan, like not even halfway through, because it's a good bit in till they reveal this huge plot. I don't know if you want me to tell you.
I don't care. Go for it.
Okay, right. So they reveal
spoilers
this
for
huge, ginormous plot twist that I'm like, that's stupid.
Is it something to do with Aaron's dad?
Yeah, but everything's always
because I remember they made a big deal about his fucking basement for some reason.
Yeah, so I can't remember exactly the exact thing about his basement, but I think it leads to this ginormous cavern or something, and you're meant to do some sort of sacrifice ritual shit to create a Titan. Which
lost me already.
I know that's already stupid because in the context of the universe, it goes insane. It's like, okay, so basically,
is it trying to over-explain?
Yeah, basically, there's a god Titan she is just a god. Don't read into that much because nothing in the entire Attack on Titan thing, because it's weird. They explain why Titans are there, right? It's because they were a chemically made thing that like turned humans into this ginormous, and I was like, okay, that's kind of boring and stupid anyways. But then they explain the chemical thing started with like this god Titan girl way back in the past, way in the past. I'm like, wow, I don't care. Wow, that's so stupid. And then they reveal this entire time, since Eren has had the attack Titan, his Titan. Okay, they reveal that like after Eren has this Titan for this, like the entire duration of the show, that it can see the past, present, and future.
So what's the point?
I know that it's the most insane thing I've ever heard, where I'm just like, why?
They're trying to be too clever for their own good. That's why.
Yeah, but like it's so stupid because they show like this progression in Eren's like character. See, I just wish they just didn't do the time thing, because I think the progression in Eren's character is fine in general, but they have to make him the good guy. This isn't out yet, by the way, in the anime. This is only manga where I'm kind of reaching into, but they have to show that he's the good guy at the end, where he's like, he planned this all along. He was the good.
He's playing 4D chess.
Yeah, because basically he turns bad, right? Which I thought was.
I see that he has long hair now, so.
Yeah, which I think that's pretty cool. Him turning bad kind of makes sense. A lot of bad crap has happened to him. He's not going to have the mental state or the most joyful, happy mental state he was when he was a child. So I'm like, this makes sense. He's gone through a lot, and he has two friends that are always trying to be there. But then, that's the other thing. He brings in this eugenics crap that I'm like, what? Like, what? Like, you know Mikasa, the girl.
Yeah. She's like the only Japanese one. They make a big deal about that.
Yeah. So this is insane. Which I'm like baffled by. So she is a part of a family that is bloodbound to Eren's family. So meaning everything she's done in the entire series is not because of her own character or her own like dedication to Eren.
It's just because
that's her bloodline. Her family is that now, and that means she has to be that. I'm just like, that is
boring,
dumb, and also ruining a really cool character.
Yeah, it kind of takes away.
Yeah, like it takes away every action she's ever done that seemed selfless, that seemed like heroic is now just been no. It's always been for Aaron, and that's all her mind has always been. And at the end, it's. I mean, I think they tried to make a good thing out of it by the end, but like it's far too late in my eyes. Where I'm just like, man, you fucked this. Like you.
Yeah, and they were just trying to be bigger than it actually is.
Yeah, I mean,
because the Titans just being there as his force is scary enough, but when you explain it, it's like, oh, I get it. But then when it's just the whole point was like the Titans are breaking into the city, we have to defend ourselves, and now it's just
well, after a while, they defended the city successfully. They do manage to save their land. They actually managed to save. So they're on an island. That's what it's revealed. They've just been on a ginormous island, and it reveals that like. What actually caused the Titans to happen is because Aaron's dad created this virus thing, or like this.
Of course,
it's not a virus, but it's this thing that can create Titans, and well, he understands the flaws that he's created with that. There's a big. I mean, this is hard to explain because anime has in almost every single anime. There's a shit ton of moving gears. So like.
There could be an entire episode just on exposition alone.
Yeah, basically. So I'll probably leave it at this, like trying to explain the plot but Aaron's dad creates the Titans. I'm not going to go into much detail about how, because I've forgotten at this point, because it's been a bit, but it's revealed that the city, or the walled city anyways, that the people the rulers in that city pissed off a people from a village outside of their island. Remember when I said they were on an island? Yeah. So basically, there's another part of the world everything outside of that island is not hindered by Titans. There's no danger at all to them.
It's just them.
It's just them. And it's revealed that civilization hates that city, and they used Aaron's dad's thing to make Titans to just torment them.
So it was literally an inside job.
Yeah, and every couple of years, they bring what you call it? They get random people who are like sacrifices, and make them Titans and let them go into the city. So there's always a constant supply of Titans going to attack them.
Plants are like sleeper agents.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I lost interest in this show ages ago. Even before that,
I lost interest after season 1.
Yeah, I mean,
I tried to force myself to say it's everyone says it's great. Everyone says it's great, and then you just it's just losing it.
Yeah, I mean, after a while, when they stopped making the Titans kind of mysterious, I was like, this is getting boring. I mean, they eventually had to explore what the fuck it was, but I kind of just wanted that to be a depressing story, to be honest. I kind of wanted them to lose, if that makes sense.
No, I get you.
Because I mean, horror movies and what that concept originally was kind of based off, which was just something so horrifying, kind of Lovecraftian. Just appearing and just destroying everything. Most of those stories don't end with "I've solved it, guys. Game over."
Have you finished the Magnus Archives yet?
No, not yet. No.
Okay, never mind. Then I can't speak about it.
Yeah,
because you were just bringing up a lot of points that happened. How far are you now, just so I can have an idea?
Oh, I don't remember.
Okay, never mind. There's a few things I wanted to say about that kind of happened with that.
Oh.
But anyway, further down the line, we'll get back to that.
Yeah.
Then, second anime I watched was Death Note, which I actually really enjoyed.
Oh, Death Note's a phenomenal anime.
See, I love things where they have an ending. where like it's not too long. It doesn't outstay its welcome.
Yeah.
Beginning, middle, and end. And it was enjoyable. It was a nice like chess game.
Yeah.
And I kind of hope they make another live action one just so I can hear William Dafoe as Ryuk again.
I think he's one of the most intimidating voices ever. He's so good. He's so good. Oh god, dude, listening to him play Goblin again. Listening to him play Peter. It's like, oh dude, the line of that's something of yours.
That's some sense of yours.
And I'm just like, that is so cool. Just hearing that in my ears, I'm like, it's awesome. This is awesome. And I rewatched Spider-Man 1, where almost every line he has, wow. I'm like, Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, without a doubt. There's no better Green
there's
Goblin.
no way they could bring in another one.
No, there's absolutely none. Because he is phenomenal as Green Goblin. And Doc Ock, what's his name? The actors?
Alfred Molina.
Alfred Molina. He's also like phenomenal as Doc Ock. There's been a good few Doc Ock interpretations that I've seen where I'm like, he's not like the definitive one, but like Green Goblin's usually just always a crazy fucking person, and I'm just like,
yeah, he woke up in a new universe and just shows violence straight away, blowing shit
like,
up.
Well, there's that, but like, I mean, we know his backstory and how he became the Green Goblin, and
back to formula.
Yeah, god damn, I love that line. But like, I like a lot more of what Willem Dafoe brought to that character than most of the old.
Because in the original Spider-Man, he was like, I want revenge. I'm killing the board.
Yes, and I do like. Yeah. He's not. He doesn't want revenge. His insane personality, because any like kind of irritating thing he had when he was normal, the Green Goblin was just like, cool, I'll kill them. And I'm like, and that's like, I love that.
Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah, that is so fun. One's a coward, one's like, I'll do everything for you. And then
just embrace me already.
Yeah, and then I mean, in other interpretations, like the old cartoon, what's Green Goblin's actual name again?
Norman Osborn.
Norman Osborn. Yeah. Every interpretation of Norman Osborn outside of that movie is, I was always evil, Peter. And I'm just like, no. I like him. I like him being kind of a good guy who obviously had a weird moral problem skew thing where he was like, he was funding like military
weapons, he was weapons division scientist.
Yeah, and it's just like that is like the most evil I want him to be. Like, just being that.
But also showing that he has a loving side and wants the best for those he cares about.
Yeah, like his son.
Because when you were watching No Way Home, did you just think he was just manipulating Peter the entire time?
Yeah.
Even though the case was, it wasn't. When Goblin came out was when Peter was like, oh god, I feel something funny. And just goes,
Yeah. It's so awesome.
That, like, it actually makes you question whether this is Norman talking or if it's the Goblin. But of course, the giveaway is the teeth.
Yes.
Because that's the neat trick they do is, like, whenever he's Norman Osborn, he has prosthetic teeth in to make his teeth look neat, whereas with not, it's just Defoe's teeth, which I think is a nice touch.
Yeah, I also, halfway through that movie, I totally forgot he had super strength.
Yeah.
So that when he was
Batista bombing through the building.
Batista bombing him through the building, I was like, oh, this is rad. I don't know if we talked actually much about No Way Home. I think we talked about it once when I was about to see it. I wanted to talk about it
on an episode that didn't happen, but
Yeah, I remember. I think we did talk about it
briefly.
Yeah, when I was about to see it, like in like a few hours, and then like also that same day we watched Mortal Kombat. And then,
we were talking about adaptations and whatnot.
Yeah,
but I think it was like the movie is what everyone wanted it to be, but even it was better because all the leaks. Like, yes, I wish we lived in the timeline where Alfred Molina didn't say he was coming back. Because the marketing for that movie was originally going to be, they were going to market it as Stephen Strange versus Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And you could see how they could have done that. And then that the whole multiverse villains, Spider-Man, would have been the biggest surprise ever.
Yeah.
Like, I think comparing this...
I mean, it was a huge surprise to me Not really for Green Goblin and
because we see them in
Doc
the
Ock.
marketing.
Yeah. Which I mean, I would love to have seen them as, like, just that to be a shock to me. But even still, I
cheered when I saw Andrew.
Yeah.
Everyone did. They were like,
I mean,
it's true.
Andrew Garfield and Toby, I was starstruck by, because I was.
You still had that doubt. It was like, I know they're in it, but are they actually?
Well, not just that. It's because I didn't know they were in it, to be honest. I mean, I think I remember you telling me that like
there was
one
leaks.
of them. One of them. Yeah, there was leaks and stuff. But in the moment of me watching that film, I totally forgot everything that I should be expecting from it, because I didn't watch almost any trailer apart from the trailer at the very end, where like all they show was Doc Ock 110% being in it and Green Goblin's bomb.
Yeah,
that was the last trailer I think I've seen, and no leaks really kind of got to me.
Look at you.
So I went in and I was just like, and once I saw Andrew Garfield, I was like, and then I was just so giddy. I was like, oh, just open another portal, please.
I like how they introduced him, because it caught me off guard.
Yeah,
I thought there would have been this big grand. I was like, no, find Peter. You're like, no. And I just love how natural they felt together.
Yeah. Oh my god.
They actually felt like brothers, and not like one superior Spider-Man. You're amazing. You're amazing. And I love that just Andrew took the jokes on the chin. Yeah. Like, I'm lame. I'm bad.
Did you hear the theory that they might be making an Amazing Spider-Man 4, and
they need to make a 3 first.
Oh yeah, 3. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, my bad.
I hope they do.
He's going to fight Venom. Like, what you call it?
Tom Hardy's
Venom.
I wouldn't be opposed to it, because it's nice to see Toby, but Toby actually got to finish his run. But Andrew just got completely shafted. He was always given bad material, even though like he stole the show. Like, Toby was great and Tom was great, but Andrew was just another level.
I think he stole the show for a lot of people because
he actually fit in. He actually had good stuff.
He had actually good stuff. He wasn't always moping around about Gwen, and all that shit,
And it's just, I love how you can tell the different Spider-Man apart. Not when they're swinging, of course, but when they're fighting individually. Like, they all have different.
Well, them fighting individually, and also in their swinging, their animations, every single one of their animations are
down to their web shooter sounds.
They're all animated like they were in their original films. Well, I mean, Tom Holland's, that's his films, so he just swings whatever the hell they animate him as. But if you look at Tobey Maguire, one of my favorite scenes was when they all land together,
and
they're all in their poses, and I'm just like, that's awesome. Like, Tom Holland's in the like leg out all the way,
and Toby's in the crouched up fingers.
Like looking like a gargoyle, and I'm just like, that's so cool.
And not to mention, like, the one that got me so happy was Charlie Cox coming back as Daredevil.
I know. I actually forgot about that just there for a second. Everyone does. Everyone does forget it because there's so much shocking shit.
That happens 10 minutes into the film.
Yeah, and that means that's also canon.
Yeah,
because it's not like before.
Because Vincent D'Onofrio, that, like, the fact that
warping shit.
Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin made his MCU debut the same day that this came out. It's like, you can't have them and not be. Because he's pretty much said, it's the same Kingpin. So I'm hoping for the same Daredevil. But at the same time, like, it has me scared. It's like, okay, Daredevil was incredibly brutal.
Yeah. And
I hope if they go forward that they just respect that.
Yeah.
But on the note of, like, William Dafoe being iconic, with live, I feel like live action interpretations of characters have a much more sticking impact than on the comics. Because, like, whenever, like, when you think of Joker, you think of Heath Ledger, and then you think of everyone trying to, no one can make their own Joker, because, like, it's like, oh, it's not Heath Ledger. Same with Batman. Like, it was Michael Keaton for a while, but, like, 20, 30 years later, it's Christian Bale, so of course there's going to be a lot of comparing and contrasting. So it's like, what's Robert Pattinson going to do now? And it's like, it's hard to make something your own. Because, otherwise people just shit on it. Like,
see, I think, see, why I like Willem Dafoe as a far more iconic thing, and even with Joker and stuff, the Joker comic wise is written to whatever degree he's always written. The comic versions of characters, I still love the writing for the most part. Like Joker, I still love his writing, even if I'm imagining him being spoken by Heath Ledger or something like that. I still like his character mostly when he's written. Sometimes he's written really stupid, and then I mean, but Green Goblin, even in the comics, I think he's one of the worst written comic book characters.
Because he's just too goofy in the comics.
I'm
the foil to Spider-Man.
Well, even I mean, I would be fine if you. I mean, and that's probably older comics. But in newer comics, Green Goblin is Joker, and I'm just like, that's not what he is. He's wacky. I mean, he's
campy.
He's campy, and that's what Willem Dafoe kind of was at some point. Like at some points he was, and then if he is menacing, he is menacing. Like I think him killing Gwen Stacy. I mean, okay, in the comic when he kills Gwen Stacy, it's kind of like a. I mean, okay, I wasn't like raised on those type of comics, so that was probably shocking at some point. Because they killed the love interest, and you never do that ever for the most part. So that would have been shocking. But rereading it, it's like, okay.
Who cares about Gwen Stacy anymore?
It's all about Mary Jane. Also, I had a discussion with somebody on like which is your favorite Spider-Man love interest between new Mary Jane, old Mary Jane, and Gwen Stacy. Like from the movies was, and I remember Mary Jane from Tobey's being a lot more like nothing to me, but rewatching Spider-Man, like the original trilogy, I was like, she's like a way better character than Gwen Stacy was in The Amazing Spider-Man. Like a way better character. Gwen Stacy in the original Spider-Man.
Like, I love you. She's very
yeah. I mean, at the time, Andrew Garfield and
Emma Stone were
together, so their chemistry was really good together.
But Gwen was just
Gwen was like such a nothing character. I mean, I don't. She was like a scientist or something, and she was like something.
Her whole purpose was just to be killed.
Yeah, basically.
As soon as you saw that clock tower in the final fight,
sure.
You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
the moment she fell into that clock tower, you're like, you're dead.
you ain't gonna out us. Oh, back snap.
And then new Mary Jane, I like her for what she is. I think she's actually probably the best love interest, but for some reason in my mind, like old Mary Jane is like way like under-respected than I thought. Like in my own head, I was like, wow, this is fascinating, because I always remembered her as like her going for what you call it. She just
going for Harry and whatnot.
Well, she did go for Harry in the first movie, and then I saw her as like just a person who just did like she just kept. What's the best way to? Yeah, I just kind of saw her as a person who just avoided. I don't know what else to. I don't know how to describe her. Or what I thought she was. I just thought she was nothing. I really just didn't remember her character at all. But in this, she was like, when I rewatched it, she was like. She starts off with Thompson. What's his name?
Flash Thompson.
Oh, yeah. Flash Thompson. She starts off with Flash Thompson, then goes out
with
Harry.
Wouldn't want to fight me neither.
Yeah, and then and then she goes out with Harry, and then by the end of the movie, she's like, I really like Toby,
and he's like, I can't.
Yeah, because he's like, he can't because he just
responsibility.
Yeah, which I absolutely love that last scene, because after what happened with Green Goblin and him already trying to kill her, he was just like, I can't. If people know I like you, then you're going to be a threat.
Because one thing that No Way Home did for me was it actually made me finally like Tom Holland as Peter and Spider-Man.
Yeah, I would say the same thing, because
I believed he was going to kill. I thought he was going to finish Goblin. I was like, if they did that, I wish
every Spider-Man has to go through that phase once they see their version of Ben die. I guess his version was.
But it's still like I actually felt like he doesn't feel like a kid anymore. He actually looks like he's going to kill.
Yeah,
like that when he's about to fight Goblin on the broken shield and he pounces down. I was like, "There's murder in his eyes."
Yeah,
and when he's just going in and in, I'm like, "Holy shit, we haven't seen a Spider-Man this brutal before."
Yeah,
and it's Tom Holland's. Even Andrew told me, like, "Dude, what the? He's going overboard. What the fuck?"
You know what I absolutely love, right? So after watching the first Spider-Man, and then like rethinking of that entire thing, I love that even more, just so much more. So in Tobey Maguire's one, he tries to seduce Peter to being bad after Ben like is dead, and he already tried to get all his bloodlust out. He tried to seduce him then, but after that. But at that point, he was Spider-Man in his head. He was going to always use his power for good and not really anything else. And this Peter, like Tom Holland's Peter, didn't... Well, technically, he didn't have that yet. I don't think. Where he didn't have the overuse of his power to a point where he realized he was going to kill somebody.
Because this is...
but then he was fighting Green Goblin, and it's
the first time I think it's the first time we see him go hand to hand as well, actually punching. Because like I know in Homecoming he doesn't throw a single punch. In No Way Home I've only seen once. I don't remember really. I know he kicks Thanos in Infinity War, but like actually with people, the first time you really see him go hand to hand is with Green Goblin.
I think so. Yeah.
And when he's wailing him, because we don't know the strength of this Peter, and actually seeing him like wail on him and Goblin just laughing in his face, I was like, holy shit, that's a villain. Like, Thanos had this whole complex of like, I'm really the good guy, you have to understand. Goblin just didn't care. He was just a villain. He just wanted to do bad things.
I absolutely love God. That scene where he's fighting him in the skyscraper, and he's just getting punched, and he's laughing, and he gets pushed, and then he pulls Peter and just Batista bombs him through the fucking floor, and then just keeps wailing on him. I love that entire thing. But I also love the fight scene in the original Spider-Man. Sorry, the original Spider-Man, I forgot how fucking amazing it is. But
the punches actually sound...
Yeah, the punches are fucking awesome. And like there's one punch where it just follows like Toby's face and going and he's going through all these walls. I'm just like, this is awesome. This is so cool. I forgot how fucking awesome Green Goblin is. And just, like, I mean, I remember how cool he was in that, but I was just like, man, they must have wrote him way better than the original movie. I rewatched the original movie. No, they write him the exact same. He's just always a good written character.
Apparently, Tom Holland said that, like, for one scene alone, like, Dafoe just had 100 different takes. He just... I hope, like, apparently wanted to see just Toby and Goblin interact, which they really didn't do.
Yeah.
Except when he like gets cured, he looks at him, he's just like, I'm stabbed. But like, one thing I can say about No Way Home that I'm kind of glad didn't happen was, for once, Tom Holland wasn't sidestepped in his own film. He actually felt like he belonged with the other two Spider-Men.
Yeah.
That they actually felt like a team. That each brought something new. Like Toby was just a wise one. Andrew was just a help everyone type, and just Tom was like, I want to be as good as these guys. Because in the script, because the script was released online, it said like, his new suit was inspired by the other two Spider-Men. Like seeing them was like, oh yeah, taking inspiration from new friends.
Yeah.
And one thing that's funny is in the script, Tom Holland is just Peter, Tobey Maguire is Spider-Man. No, Tobey Maguire is Peter, and Tom Holland is Spider-Man, and Andrew is Webverse Spider-Man.
Yeah, what you call it? I watched a thing about it was about Toby. I think it was about one sec. I'm losing it, but I have it on the cusp still.
Was it unused concepts?
No. It had to do with... Oh, no. It was with Andrew. Andrew Garfield's... So... And this wasn't something I watched. I don't know why I said I watched. But I kind of felt like Andrew Garfield's Ben kind of got shafted when Toby was like, I lost my Uncle Ben. And then and then Andrew said he
I lost my Gwen. Yeah.
And it's like, you also lost your Ben. And now you're also saying Gwen. And then I was just like, okay, if you're going to say Gwen, then wouldn't Toby not just say, oh, I lost my best friend?
And Tom is like, dudes.
Yeah.
But like, I believe now that there was no Ben Parker in Tom Holland's life. That he just,
same.
Like, I'm okay with that. A lot of people are getting butthurt.
Yeah, I mean, if it ever was, it was probably like just a quick passing relationship. I mean, it could just be Aunt May. Yeah.
Yeah, like that she's just a single mother, which I'm fine with. Yeah. Like,
well, a single mother, a single adopted mother.
Like, it's just it's different. And that's fine. Like, because like, with the new Batman movie coming out, I'm glad that they're just kind of skipping over the whole origin.
Yeah. I will say though, I did think they hinted at it
in No Way Home with the suitcase, which I thought was a bit odd.
Well, there was the suitcase, but then there was also in Homecoming. He says to Ned that like it's just like I can't tell her or whatever because like not after all she's gone through.
Yeah,
and I was just like, is that a reference to Ben? Like, was Ben there and died, or?
Because at this point they would have had to have said something.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just
don't get me wrong. If Ben was there and died, that would have probably. I would have accepted that because he could have died like before Peter was even like, but again, it could have just. I mean, I know that it's so many things. There's so many things that could have been. Yeah.
The What If Spider-Man mentions Ben.
Oh, really?
In the zombie episode, like, oh, I lost my uncle.
Right.
But like I said, I'm completely fine with no Ben. Peter still got to where he had to be. Just I think the reason why they killed Aunt May was because of the reaction from the PlayStation 4 game. That they seen it was a bold choice, but people, not that they didn't like it, but they seen, okay, that's a good step for Peter.
I mean, it's always been a good step. One of the worst comic books decisions is to completely and forcefully try to avoid that step of May dying, which was when he went to the fucking devil and was just like, please let May live. I'm just like, no, she's been a fucking alive since she was 80.
Like, consequences are important. And, that's one of the big fears with a lot of Marvel stuff is, like, bringing people back and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it's just, with May's death, Spider-Man was born.
Yeah.
Because, of course, with great power comes great responsibility.
And they had to ask Sony, please let us use the line. Please let us use that most iconic line. Which is funny because they also said that line kind of when in No Way Home as well, where they do the Iron Man thing. But Iron Man,
if you're nothing without the suit, then you don't deserve it.
Yeah, which is like, okay, you said that line twice, but I guess great power with great power comes great.
With No Way Home, he's saying like, why do I have to help these guys? Because he's like, because it's your best, Peter.
Yeah, technically.
But like, it's just, it was great seeing the other guys, but again, I'm just give Tom. I'm glad he has just a normal suit. None of this fucking iron doo-doo shit.
I know. Yeah, that's probably the best thing that came out of it. That he's actually. That's the thing. Also, I don't know if many people. Well, probably a lot of people have, but like, the apartment he goes into is the same one he's in Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 3. I can't remember, but he's in, the apartment at the end of No Way Home. He goes into the same apartment that Toby was in, I think.
It doesn't look the same.
Well,
Toby's looks a lot more decrepit, but I'm sure
they like fancied it up a bit, but like,
if it is, pretty cool.
Yeah,
we know it's in front of the Rockefeller ring.
Yeah, it's what you call it, the because I think it's in the second one because the first one, that's not his place. It's Harry's place.
Yeah,
and Harry's place is way more open, like really open.
He's rich.
Yeah, and but Toby in the second or third movie, because
it's the second.
It has the
No, it isn't the same because there's a step.
Oh, is there a step?
There's a step in Toby's one. and there's Tom's one is just one flat floor.
Ah.
But
I don't know. I need to look at them again because I thought it was the same apartment, but maybe it's not.
But they're actually. He is Spider-Man now, and now he's saying like, guys, I kind of don't want to be Spider-Man anymore, which makes it even funnier. Speaking of rumors,
he has 3 more movies, but like
speaking of rumors, and I believe this to happen. Apparently, Tobey Maguire is going to be in Multiverse of Madness.
I wouldn't mind.
You see, the thing is, like, he's here now, and it's Sam Raimi. It's just they can't.
True.
Like this one's a rumor. With no proof.
Imagine though, he's not Spider-Man.
Yeah,
he's just
he's Willie Stroker.
It's like
bend over.
No, what they couldn't do anything else with that. Imagine it's just Green Goblin never turned evil. Like he's still evil. He's just going around the multiverse of madness. Is Green Goblin being more mad?
I would love that.
Yeah,
but apparently Wanda's the villain. But like everyone was over theorizing for No Way Home. The theories for this movie, people like the Fox X-Men are coming back. Wesley Snipes is coming back. The Fantastic Four from those movies. Everyone's coming back in this one. I'm like, guys, lower your expectations a bit.
Yeah.
Because apparently one leak was that Wanda Maximoff gets in a fight with Patrick Stewart's Professor Xavier. I'm like, whoa, guys, calm down a bit. You're going to be out there.
What the fuck did... Also, definitely not Patrick Stewart. He's definitely not coming back. But
and then apparently, huge, like, it's just all these cameos. I'm like, guys, are you watching it for the plot or cameos at this point? Like that's another thing that knows about Marvel at the moment. He's like, hey, I understood that reference.
I mean, me personally, I don't think Wanda is going to be the bad guy. Well, I mean, we know that evil.
Bully Strange.
Bully Strange is in there, but that Strange is like a good guy by the end of What If, isn't he?
I can't remember, man.
I mean, I never watched What If, but I think I was spoiled on the fact that he turns good.
I know I remember he helps out, but he's sent back to his little prison world. But I don't know, like, I'm excited to see it because just Sam Raimi. It's nice to see his name pop up.
Yeah.
But that's... I'm more excited for the Batman, though. And the fact that, like, the Batman's release date made Marvel shipped every other release back. I'm like, ooh. And Batman's runtime is 2 hours and 47 minutes.
2 hours, yeah. And 47.
Yep, nearly 3 hours.
Man.
So there's going to be a lot of movie. And, like, apparently, according to test screeners, he's in the suit for nearly the entire film.
Yeah, I always like hearing that. It was the same when I heard Deadpool. I was like, oh, cool. He's in the suit almost. And not only is he in the suit, he does not remove the mask. I was very happy to hear that Deadpool they were doing that where like, yeah, no, they're not going to show his face much.
Unfortunately with Deadpool it's one of those ones you can only really watch a few times.
Yeah, it's the fact that
the gimmick wears off.
It's the fact that it's a comedy. I think that's the worst part about it.
And another thing is they make a lot of jokes for the cinema, not the home.
Yeah, that's why I think I like 2 more than 1, because 2 has a consistent story
and didn't take place on an entire fucking bridge.
Yeah, true. That was budget restraints, and I can't really judge it for that. I still am. God, imagine the hindsight if they're just like, oh, if we just put a little more money behind his.
Yeah, it was like I think it was one of the first R-rated movies to make $1 billion.
Yeah, and I think, in fairness, it did deserve it for how much they fought for that fucking movie to come out, and then.
I also just love that Ryan Reynolds said, "Fuck it, I'm taking the suit with me. I've earned it."
Yeah.
But who leaked the test footage?
Who? I mean, that's that test footage is that 110% definitely helped the release of that.
And like I enjoyed it at the time. Like I'd rather watch 2 than 1, but it's just
same. Only for the fact, again, the story more consistent, more characters that are like have their own goals, and you're not always listening to.
But it also does have some of the worst CGI I've ever seen in a film as well.
Which?
There's a scene where Domino was running down the road and a lot of shit is happening around her.
Yeah.
And it's just a GTA 1 car drives by.
Yeah. I thought I thought it was pretty alright. It wasn't the worst. I mean, it looked like Free Guy, which Free Guy is not like the best CGI looking thing, but it's like
Deadpool's its own neat little gimmick, but if they continue on with it, there's only so much they can do with it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like,
if they do Deadpool kills the Marvel universe,
that would be fantastic.
That would if they were to ever end the MCU.
Like
how else would they do it but that?
Because like, you know, there's all your fourth wall breaking jokes there. 'Cause, like, I feel like the fourth wall breaking jokes pointing at the audience is getting too old now.
Yeah.
Like one thing I wished. This is the fourth wall jokes I was expecting, where he's in the middle of a fight and he has no weapons, and he reaches to the side and pulls the boom down and starts using that as a weapon.
Yeah.
Like, you know, or like one that he just storms off set. He's like, okay, I'm done with this scene. Like, that's what I was expecting. Not like, hey, audience, I'm talking to you, because that's the first joke they make in the entire fucking film.
Yeah.
But I feel like now that they're getting a lot more better with fourth wall breaks, like the Harley Quinn show, for example, is really good at it. Where, like, you know, it isn't pandered all the time. Like, I'm fine with him talking to the camera in regards to what's happening with the plot. But not him going, woo!
Yeah, I do like some lines, though, where they're like, where's all the other X-Men? And like this, and then they show the...
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, true. They do good things with... I mean, okay, that's the second movie, like I said, and the second movie just had so much more money to work with that it just works better. Although they still had more jokes and not a lot of the jokes really hit. Like,
not to mention they started off with a cold open where they killed a girlfriend.
Yes,
and you're like, oh shit, this is darker.
That's where I liked the direction of where it was going, because I mean,
how do you kill a guy who can't die?
Yeah, just kill everything around him.
Yeah.
But what you call it? Why I really liked that as well is because they brought in Deadpool, one of Deadpool's biggest things, where he loves death, like the character death, and I think killing his love and making her the representation of death for him, I was like, that works extremely well. Like, that's awesome. And
just Josh Brolin's just always so cool.
Yeah, and yeah, that's true. And also, in fairness, if they were ever to bring, I mean, okay, Deadpool can just walk into the MCU and everybody will be like, yeah, okay, I mean, that's acceptable.
For Free Guy, they did some promotional stuff with him and Korg.
Yeah, that's because Taika
is in it. Yeah, and I'm like, that is phenomenal marketing. Yeah. The fact is, like, you get Deadpool, it's like, oh, here's a MCU character. And it's like, is that canon, guys?
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's how you do marketing.
Mm. And yeah, so I was happy to see that. And then, yeah, I mean, Deadpool can just walk into the MCU, but the other X-Men, you need, I think, a bit to, like, you need a lot to work on to get them in.
Marvel still can't explain just stuff happening, because, like, yeah, the Spider-Man was a long stretch coming back.
Yeah.
Because they don't really talk about, like, hey, you look different. They're just like, hey, guys, look.
Yeah.
Like, they don't really explain why. Like, even Jamie Foxx, like, I look different in this universe, and that's it. That's a line.
Yeah, I think it was because... I don't know, man. It doesn't make a lot of sense, because he does say the energy's different here, but then, like, the energy is yellow. That's the difference to make you comic book accurate.
Yeah, he doesn't get he has actual hair.
Yeah.
Spider-Verse also comes out this year as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I know with that one, they're just going to crowd into the Spider-Verse. Across the Spider-Verse.
Across the Spider-Verse.
And I feel like with that one, they're just going to try to get as many Spider-Man. I feel like Tom Holland, Tobey, Andrew will all be in it as a cameo.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just very excited to see what I would never have thought ever would have happened was to see Spider-Man 2099 in a movie of Spider-Man. I would have never thought they would have done that. I mean,
it has so much to live up to.
Yeah, because Spider-Man 2099, his name is not like a reference to Peter Parker. You know, like with the other characters that were into the Spider-Verse, they all had all their names were kind of references to Peter Parker, apart from Gwen, because Gwen was an established character and people probably knew her already. But Spider-Man 2099 being like Miguel O'Hara, I was like, there's no reference. He's from the future. I don't even think he's in the Spider-Verse technically. Technically, he's from the future in the Marvel 616 universe, like the comic book universe. So just seeing him, I'm just like, there's no reference to Peter Parker in his name. I mean, the only reference to actual Peter Parker from him is the fact that he messed around with Peter Parker's DNA in like later on and just became this. He also hates being Spider-Man. Like he hates being him because it's actually ruined his life.
That's what happens when you're Spider-Man, though.
Yeah, true. True. That's the whole point. I just really like Spider-Man 29. I know a lot of people like his new suit, but I don't like it. The white and green one or whatever the fuck he has.
It's just his suit is simple but loud.
Yeah. Oh, the blue and
red.
Like the red and his face just kind of being everything there. I love that suit. That's like iconic. That's like, I know it's very 90s, but Jesus fuck, that's iconic to me.
But yeah, Spider-Verse, I don't know what to expect. It has a lot to live up because goddamn, there was just so many great moments.
Yeah.
In like the fact that they killed like Peter Parker 20 minutes into the film.
I know.
And you're like, oh, he's dead.
Peter B. Parker
comes in, yeah. And you know the fact that like it introduced like, I feel like without Spider-Verse we wouldn't have had No Way Home to get people used to the idea of different Spider-Men.
Yeah, true.
But here's a controversial take about future proteges. The only person who is allowed to take up the mantle of Batman is Terry McGinnis.
I don't know.
I feel like he's the true.
Some people really liked
Dick Grayson.
Dick Grayson or
Tim Drake.
No, not Tim Drake. Damian. People like Dick, Damian, or
the Robins. I feel like Terry.
Well, no, not just kind of those two.
Yeah.
I mean, Terry McGinnis is probably the most iconic one to take up. Well, in my head, anyways. Him and Dick, because Dick had a really famous run with like Batman and Robin, where he and a phenomenal fucking run where he the Battle for the Cowl, where Batman's like, bye bye, I'm dead, and everyone, and like there's like a huge discourse within the Bat family of like who's going to be the Bat, and Dick throughout the entire like book is like, I don't want to, but then fucking what's his name, Jason comes in and he's just like, cool, I'll be Batman,
and they're like
and you're like, no, you can't do that, and then like Dick and Damian have to work together to like beat the shit out of fucking Jason, and not like, and for him, and then Dick eventually fakes up the cowl, and you're like, fuck yeah. But yeah, Terry McGinnis is also a very good choice because, I mean, he's Batman Beyond. He's also a phenomenal choice.
Yeah, I hope the Batman's good. But
Same.
Here's another hot take. I don't want a Joker in these movies. I just want different rogues gallery.
I'm a Joker. Yeah, let's see Penguin again. We are getting the Riddler, but I would like to see Penguin again.
Yeah, I feel like they're just going to set up Penguin in this one.
Probably. Or a good Dr. Freeze might be cool. Although, I would say the old Dr. Freeze was actually pretty fun, but definitely not like
to meet you.
Yeah, definitely not as tragic as he originally is.
I feel like I mentioned it here before, because I know I've said it to a few people. Like, I want each villain to give Batman a lesson. Like with this one, it feels like the Riddler is giving him a lesson. Like, you're not the smartest one here. To humble him. And I'd want Freeze to hypothetically be like, hey, show some fucking compassion. We're all not just thugs, you know. We do bad things because we think we're good. And then
Penguin's like, it's all about the money.
About the money. But, you know, and then the Riddler, not Riddler, fucking Scarecrow would be a good one for this one.
I want a fucking Scarecrow.
So, I mean, they're kind of going down the paths that the Telltale game did, where, like, it looks like the Waynes are going to be corrupt. Because they released a prequel novel to the Batman, which highlighted a few things which I thought were interesting. One of them being that the Waynes donated Wayne Manor to be an orphanage. And that, like, you know, all the orphans hate Bruce Wayne because it's like, hey, he used to live here. This is his house. This is how he grew up. And the Riddler was one of the orphans who lived in that manor.
Oh.
And that, like, for now, until they were killed, they lived in Wayne Tower in the center of Gotham. And that the Batcave is an old railway used by the Waynes to beat the Gotham traffic under Wayne Tower, so that's where the Batcave is.
Yeah.
And Bruce Wayne made the Batmobile at age 16 because he was a bit of a boy racer, which shows. And the most important fact was that the Riddler used to be a food delivery driver.
Who?
The Riddler, Edward Nashton.
He used to be a food delivery driver?
Yeah, they mentioned that in the book.
Isn't he meant to be Enigma? Isn't he meant to be working?
He's Edward Nashton in this one.
Oh.
But, like, what looks like is that there's something shady about Bruce. Like, I like the fact that they kind of hint that he kind of knows Bruce Wayne as Batman, but I also feel like that's a red herring.
So, is this a new interpretation entirely of the Riddler?
I don't know if there was a Nashton before, but his name...
oh my
god. My chair just almost killed me. Because in this one, his name is Edward Nashton, so I don't know if he'll go Enigma. But either way, because they released one scene, it leaked, so they just released it off the fuller scene of the funeral. And, like, yeah. And I like the fact that they don't really show his face. But I'm excited for it, and I hope it's good. Tickets go on sale tomorrow.
It's what?
Tickets go on sale tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. Oh, right. I thought you were saying it's out tomorrow. I was like, what? No, it's not.
I gotta book them tickets.
Yeah, no, but, yeah. Imagine they bring in Solomon Grundy.
Yeah, they bring someone so absurd. They bring in fucking... God, who's the most absurd Batman villain?
Man-Bat.
Bat. They bring in Zeus.
Zeus. They bring in I don't know. Most yeah, Mad. Oh my God! If they brought in Mad, I mean they own it, don't they? Warner Brothers, don't they own? Or is that still owned by Disney?
I think it's public domain.
Oh, it's public domain. Oh yeah, so yeah, I guess they could just use Mad Hat or whatever the fuck they want. That'd be a bizarre fucking one to choose.
Oh God, who they bring in Azrael? I mean, that'd be a cool one.
It would be cool, yeah. I mean, the person who wants to. I mean,
Take
it's
over.
a bit young if they're doing like an early Batman adaptation, like him in a younger state. I think Azrael is kind of a later Batman story,
like because
his whole point is to take up the mantle of Batman.
Bring someone just bring in different ones. Like the Riddler, they were hinting at it in the Nolan ones, but they never went through with it.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I mean, with this new Batman, I mean, they're probably only going to really do the more realistic ones, like. I can imagine. I can really see them doing the Court of the Owls with this Batman.
That'd be an interesting one, but it has to be one I want. Like, blink and you miss hints. But not. It's a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, the Court of Owls that's basically like Spectre, like James, what Spectre is to James Bond.
That no matter what, everything was orchestrated from the start.
Yeah. And yeah, so I can imagine like the Court of the Owls. I can definitely imagine what's his name?
Hugo Strange.
I can imagine him as well, but no, it's the Oh my God! What the fuck? It has one. Hush. They probably do Hush. Yeah,
could be interesting.
Stealing Batman's identity, which I mean, in fairness, in this day and age, probably a very good plotline to do about trying to not get identity stolen and stuff. Maybe. And then, yeah, Hush is not the worst idea, or. I feel like Two-Face he's done twice now.
Yeah,
so I don't know
what else could you really show with him.
Yeah, he's done twice. Joker's been done like 3 times now, so he's probably out of the picture.
Hopefully.
Yeah. With this, the Riddler gets 2, and then who's that? The Calendar Man would be pretty fun.
He was already in the Suicide Squad, though.
Oh, fuck, was he?
Yeah. He was the one. Hey, Polka Dot Man, I want to hire you for my kid's party, you fucking pussy.
Oh, right. Nice. Slash or something?
Saz, Victor Saz.
Victor Saz. He's probably a more realistic one.
He's just a killer. He needs his dicks.
Yeah, he's probably a way more realistic one. But or the butcher pig. What's his name?
Oh, I know the one you're on about.
Yeah, I mean those realistic guys. I mean, I would love to see Man Bat. Like, absolutely, he's more of a realistic person to understand, like, what like he is, but like, I think he would be an awesome. I would love to see him as a villain at some point.
You just want the animated series, don't you? Just bring everyone in from there.
Fuck yeah, who wouldn't? I mean, the animated series made Freeze and Harley Quinn. It's not the worst idea. That you should follow those guys, bro. Those guys knew what the fuck they were doing, and even in just that, what I want from a Justice League film is from the Justice League animated series, and what I want from if they did do Batman Beyond, is probably just going to be from the Batman Beyond series. Although, and if I was to choose, I'd still prefer the Batman animated series over Beyond.
Fair enough. Right, we'll leave it there.
Alrighty. We should leave with a bang.
Okay, 1 second. I get my gun.
Let me get my...
Bang.
Bah.